StrayAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we're moving into part 4 of our ongoing series on how to be a wolf. Yes, a wolf. Before I get into this, I remind you of 2 things. First of all, daily motivation, Monday motivation message. You want to be getting that when I start sending them out again. Just text me at my number 305-384-6894. We'll save you. And when we reactivate, you'll be getting that message. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. You would like to have me. Actually, I'm going to stop saying if. I'm going to say, you know that you would like to have me as your direct coach. You know you want to take your game to its highest level now and not later. And you know that time is ticking. So go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and get started with us. Again, having me as your direct coach. That's the only way that it happens. Now, with that out the way, let's get into the topic, which is, again, picking up on part 4 of our ongoing series, How to Be a Wolf. Point number 10, focus on the hunt. Focus on the hunt. We all understand, generally, I think everyone listening to me understands how it works for a predator who is out in the wild, right? That they have to hunt and kill things in order to eat. And if they don't kill anything, they don't eat, and you don't eat for long enough, you die of starvation. Now, that applies to humans the same way it applies to a wolf. So according to my research, wolves will hunt deer, elk, moose, caribou, bison, wild boar, mountain goats, beavers, rabbits, small rodents, birds, and even fish. And any wolf who fails to hunt and catch something in this group of prey that I named, that wolf will die of starvation. I think everybody generally understands that, right? If a wolf doesn't catch something, and these are the animals that hunt and kill, they don't catch something, they die. And this applies to all predators. You have to catch and kill something at some point. Otherwise, you don't eat, you die. You, lucky human being, you don't have to hunt anything, nor do you have to kill anything in order to eat. You can simply go to Chipotle, Applebee's, or the local grocery store and get yourself something to eat, or to the kitchen or to the refrigerator. There's something in there for you to eat. And if you're super lazy, as long as you got some money, you can even open your phone, order Uber Eats, and they can bring the food right to your doorstep. You don't have to do anything except go open the door and pick the food up from the Uber Eats delivery driver. So you, human, live in a different reality than that of the wolf when it comes to your sustenance. At the same time, despite this, I want you to develop, let me say that again. I want you to develop the mentality of the wolf when it comes to hunting down your successes, your next achievements, or whatever it is you're working on right now in life, whether it be food, a business related, relationship related. And I want you to do so as if doing so determines whether or not you eat this week. Put yourself in that frame of mind. Because if that was really the reality, you would be a lot more focused and a lot more disciplined on getting things done. I mean, that's what you want anyway, right? How many people listening to me right now would like to be a lot more focused and a lot more disciplined and a lot more determined in getting certain things done that you want to get done in your life right now? I think everyone would raise their hand and say, yes, that's exactly what I want. Then what I'm submitting to you is that you need to conduct yourself the way the wolf does when it's on the hunt and it needs food. Otherwise, it's going to die and its cubs are going to die. Instead of you being the human who is living in this safe world where you know you're going to have something to eat. Even if you got to go get some McDonald's, you're going to have something to eat and you don't really have to hunt in order to get it. I want you to treat your success the same way that the wolf treats its next meal. If I don't get this, I ain't going to survive till next week. If you had that type of energy, I think you'll get a lot more done. Even if you don't complete the task fully, I think you'll make more scheduled, measurable progress than if you didn't. I was reading this book called When Nothing Else Matters. It's written by this guy named, I believe his first name is Michael, and his last name is Leahy. And the book, When Nothing Else Matters, the book is about Michael Jordan and his 2 years, where after his second retirement, he came back and he played for the Washington Wizards. Those 2 years he played for the Wizards. And Michael Jordan was much older at that point. He had a knee injury his first year. And of course, he wasn't the guy who could fly over everybody and be an acrobat at that point. But he was still a pretty damn good basketball player. And I think made the All-Star game the last 2 years. The Wizards weren't that good of a team, but Michael Jordan didn't make himself look bad in those 2 years there. He wasn't the Michael Jordan we know with the name and lights then, but at least as far as his performance, but he was still pretty good, still all-star level. But anyway, in that book, he mentions at one point, he talks about the 1998 Chicago Bulls team and how Michael Jordan performed on that team. And those of you who are basketball fans, and maybe if you're just a surface level fan, you remember Michael Jordan when he got the famous at the end of the game against the Utah Jazz, Game 6 in Utah. He makes a layup to bring the Bulls within 1 point. Then he goes and steals the ball from Karl Malone, brings the ball up the floor. He goes hard. He's on the left side of the floor. He goes hard with his defender, Brian Russell, right there on his hip. Then he kind of stops on a dime, crosses over. Brian Russell goes flying in the other direction. Michael Jordan pulls up for this picture-perfect jump shot, knocks down the jump shot, and the Utah Jazz fail to score after that, and the Bulls win the championship right there. And Leahy, in talking about that in the book, he mentions how what he was using it in context to just frame how Michael Jordan was always a predator out there on the court, the way I'm describing the Wolves here in this series. And that this guy just had the mentality of he went after his successes and went after winning the same way that a wolf goes after, he didn't mention a wolf, I don't think he did, but the same way that I'm mentioning here that a wolf goes after its food. He said Michael Jordan that year, 1998, Michael Jordan was on a 1-year contract with the Chicago Bulls that year because he was only signing 1-year deals because he wanted to make sure the team got brought back together the right way, which after 98 they did not, and that's why Jordan retired. He earned $33 million for that 1-year season, and $33 million is not, now there are players making more than that in the season now, almost twice as much as that, but back then $33 million was, nobody had ever earned that much for one season of playing basketball. Many players didn't earn that in an entire career of playing in the NBA up through the 1990s. He got it in one season. And Leahy explained, like, this guy made $33 million from basketball that year, more than everybody else, but he played in that championship series as if his life depended on it, as if he wasn't making any money. He wasn't playing like, oh, I'm good, I got $33 million. He was playing like, I need to win this game, and the $33 million didn't matter at all. That's the mentality that I'm trying to help you understand. So I'm giving you Michael Jordan here as a comparative context, since you may not be able to relate to a wolf in the wilderness as well as you can relate to a human. Maybe you can't relate to Michael Jordan that much, but maybe you can relate to him more than you can relate to a wolf. The whole point is, I want you to be more disciplined and more focused and more locked in on achieving your goal, regardless of what else is happening around you, which again is what a wild animal must do. Otherwise, they perish. Point number 11. We're talking here today about how to be more of a wolf, continuing our ongoing series. Number 11, operate with stealth. What does stealth mean? The definition of stealth is defined as cautious or surreptitious action or movement. In even simpler terms, wolves move quietly and don't allow themselves to be noticed until it is too late to do anything about the fact that you noticed. In other words, if a wolf was trying to stalk and hunt you, you wouldn't know the wolf was stalking and hunting you until it's too late to know that the wolf is stalking and hunting you. By the time you notice the wolf, you can't do anything about the fact that the wolf is there. Unless you got a gun, you can turn around and use it. But even then, by the time you pull the gun out, the wolf is already clenching his jaw around your throat and you're dead. All right, that's what stealth means, operating with stealth. Now, I'm not telling you you need to go hunt somebody down and kill them, but maybe you do. But what I'm really saying on a serious level is that when a wolf is hunting you or is hunting a deer or a beaver, or what this means is that you want to move in the same way that they do. Okay, while there is a time in life when you want to make a lot of noise and draw a whole lot of attention to yourself, there are times for that. When you're marketing and selling and promoting yourself, yes. There's also times in life when you should be quiet, don't draw any attention, and move in silence. You need to know which time is which time. It's not always time to make noise. Right? Eventually, people get tired of seeing or hearing anybody if you're always seen and always heard. Sometimes you just want to lay low and be quiet and not draw any attention to yourself while you do what you do in silence, in the shadows. The only time you should draw attention to yourself is when you are ready to have attention on you and you want the attention. And at which point, anyone or anything that may want to oppose you getting the attention can't do anything about it. They can't prepare to stop you because it's too late. You're already on top of the situation and they can't stop it. That's what it means to move in stealth. You got to know when to be quiet and you got to know when to make noise. My favorite book, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. He talks about both in the book. He has a chapter on knowing when to draw attention to yourself. He also has a chapter on concealing your attentions. He also has periods in the book where he talks about you got to know when to lay low and chill because it's just not your time right now, and to wait for the wave of, the tides of the times to turn back in your direction. That's when you step out into the open. But there are other times when you need to be really loud because everything is in your favor. And so you need to be able to judge the time. This is called having a fingertip feel, being able to read the room, if you will. And reading the room might mean reading all of society and figuring out, does it make sense for me to go now, or should I wait until later, or maybe lay low for a little bit longer, whatever the situation is. A wolf understands this in its bones. It instinctively understands when to move forward and when not. Human beings, we have the instinctive ability. The problem is we are not nearly as connected to our instincts as wolves are. So that's why I had to remind you of this. Whereas if I was talking to a wolf, I'm gonna have to not have to explain this concept to them because they understand it even better than I do. All right. The thing is, they can't talk, so they can't explain it. If a wolf could talk, then I wouldn't be recording these episodes. I'm speaking for the wolves because I can explain things in ways that they can't. So you, human, with your conscious thinking and your big brain that is getting in your way and slowing you down and causing you to overthink and waste time on everything, I'm suggesting that you break that habit. All right, that's the whole point. Know when to be quiet, know when to make noise, and only make noise when there's nothing anybody can do about the noise. Point number 12. We're talking here today about how to be a wolf, our ongoing series. Number 12, know your personnel. Know your personnel. Now, there are some wolves out there who move about independently. There are other wolves who operate in packs. Human beings, we tend to operate in social groups throughout all of our lives. Well, starting in our families, then we go to school, then we get a job, and then we got a bunch of groups in between that. You play a sport, for example, you join some community group, for example, and other groups that you may be dipping in and out of throughout your life. Given this reality, as humans, we need to know the personnel that we are operating with and always knowing who they are, not just what they show, but who they truly are. And you need to know who can do what, who cannot do what, and make sure you never ask anyone to do anything that you know that they are incapable of doing. And this will only hurt the group as a whole when you ask someone to do something that they can't do because they're going to fail. And the whole group has to suffer because this person couldn't do a job that they should never have been on in the first place. And if you're the leader, it's your job to make sure you don't put anyone in a position to fail. You got to put them in a position to win. Doesn't mean you can't push them. Doesn't mean you can't put them somewhere that may be a little bit outside of their comfort zone that will force them to stretch in order to get there. But you got to know who's willing to stretch and who ain't. Not everybody is. There's some people who just are who they are, and there's some people who can continually get better. And I was in Germany once playing ball, and I remember I was talking to an agent. He was talking to me about some of his clients who were also American players. And one of the clients he had, he mentioned to me, he said, well, that guy, he's just who he is. He's not going to get better. He's not going to become a different player than what he is. He just is who he is. And any team that signs him needs to understand that this is just what you get. This is what you get. If you want something more than this, then I'll give you a different player. But this guy is who he is. Whereas there are other players out there who are still growing and getting better and improving. He's not one of them. And you need to know your personnel in that way. What the agent was explaining was absolutely correct. That he knew some of his clients, they are who they are as players, and they're not going to get any better, not getting worse, but they're not getting better. Right? So this is what they bring. Don't think they're going to grow over the course of the season. Whereas he had other players who are still growing and getting better. So if you put them on the team, he's theorizing, talking to teams out there, this player may continue to evolve and grow. Whereas this player over here, no, don't expect that. Don't bet any money on that. So it will hurt the group as a whole, again, if you put the wrong people in the wrong spot. Because the thing that needs to be done is still not done when you put the wrong person on the job. And you, assuming that you're a leader, you have failed by putting an incapable person on the job that they should never have had in the first place. In college, one day in practice, I threw a hard pass to a teammate of mine who was notorious for having bad hands. This guy simply couldn't catch. Right? And I threw him a hard pass that he should have caught because the ball went right through his hands. He dropped the ball went out of bounds. And that goes into the scorebook as a turnover on me. Now, later that day, one of our assistant coaches pulled me aside and said to me, Dre, you should know better than throw a pass like that to a player like him because you know that motherfucker can't catch. So don't throw him passes like that because I got to blame you for that because you should know better. And he was right. We were in the middle of the season when this happened, so it was well known that this guy couldn't catch. So I had made a mistake by throwing a pass to a person who couldn't catch a pass. And I should never thrown the ball because I put him in a position to fail by throwing him that pass, and the turnover goes on my record. So it made me look bad by making a bad decision. And I was failing to understand my personnel in the moment when I threw that pass. You need to do the same thing, but the opposite of what I did. You need to understand your personnel. Who can do what? Who can't do what? Who will rise to the occasion? Who's not going to rise to the occasion? Who's going to step up when the situation gets tough? Who tends to fold and get worse when the situation gets tough? So I know what to ask of people. And again, I want to make sure I'm putting everybody in a place where they can be successful. And then I'll take care of everything. Every gap that needs to be filled, I'll go fill the gap. That's the way the leader thinks. So you need to know who can do what. Never ask anybody to do more than what they're capable of. And always put people in a position to fail, succeed, grow if they want to, be who they are if that's what they want to do, and get rid of people if you need to do that as well. Right? Knowing your personnel means knowing who should be your personnel and also knowing who should not be your personnel. This is an important decision as well. With that out the way, let's recap today's class, which is part 4 of our ongoing series, How to Be a Wolf. Number 10, focus on the hunts. Wolves hunt a lot of different animals. They are predators, and they are more focused on achieving their outcome of the hunt than they are on anything else. They do not allow their mind to get clouded with any other thoughts, random thoughts, while they're in the process of a hunt, because if they don't succeed hunting, then nothing else they do matters. So there's no need to be thinking about anything else. You need to adopt that mindset. Number 11, operate with stealth. That just means know when to be quiet and not draw attention to yourself. And then if and when you do draw attention, make sure that it's at a point at which nobody can do anything to stop you from doing what you're planning on doing. By that point, it's just too late. You're already on top of them. Number 12, know your personnel. There are some wolves who move about independently. Many other wolves move in packs. And if you're a leader of a pack of people, then you need to know who those people are, what they can do, what they can't do, and never put a person in a position of asking them to do something that they're not capable of, because it's only going to make them look bad, you look dumb, and the whole team suffers because of it, because you put the wrong person on the wrong job. That said, make sure you text into my community and go to workonyourgameuniversity.com so you can learn how to be a wolf in your business, in your personal life, in your pursuit of success, pursuit of happiness, and pursuit of performance, because that's the game that we're in. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all